The drama in the heavyweight division just never stops. Dillian Whyte has tested positive for a banned substance following his win over Oscar Rivas last weekend. So far, his A sample has come back positive, and during the adjudication process, they will also test his B sample. And if that comes back positive too, then it is almost certain that Dillian Whyte will face some kind of ban and will almost certainly be dropped from the WBC rankings and will not get that title shot against Deontay Wilder or whoever holds the WBC belt by the first half of next year. So we have to wait and see what happens with his B sample. Dillian Whyte, of course, did test positive back in 2012 for a substance contained in an over-the-counter supplement, which Dillian Whyte took. And in that instance, he served a 2-year ban. Now, since that time, Dillian Whyte came back. He fought Anthony Joshua. He built a very successful career for himself as one of the world leading heavyweight contenders and became a pay-per-view fighter in the UK. He has been on the WBC clean boxing program for several years. And to be fair, he's been clean. He's had no positive test results for his fight against Helenius, which was a WBC sanctioned bout, for his fight against Derek Chisora, the rematch, which to my knowledge was a WBC sanctioned bout, for his fight against Lucas Brown, which to my knowledge was so several WBC sanctioned bouts where Dillian Whyte underwent testing both by UKAD and VADA as part of the clean boxing program. He was clean for all of them. But for this fight right here against Oscar Rivas, which would make him the mandatory for Deontay Wilder, so he would finally get that shot. For this one, after all he's been through, he tests positive. Now, it has to be said, it was not VADA that found Dillian Whyte positive in this instance. It was UKAD, the very same body who found Tyson Fury positive after the Klitschko fight. But similar to the Klitschko fight, in fact, did they find Tyson Fury positive? Did he test positive before the Klitschko fight? I think he may have done. You guys fill me in on that because it's a long time since that incident happened. Well, in this particular instance with Dillian Whyte, multiple sources have said that he actually tested positive before the Rivas fight and that his team were alerted of the positive test result, and Eddie Hearn was also alerted of the positive test result. However, the British Board of Boxing Control allowed the fight to proceed as scheduled. I mean, that's disturbing stuff. That suggests that the British Board of Boxing Control were willing to turn a blind eye, or at least, act as though the positive test result hadn't happened, to allow the Matchroom show to go ahead so everybody could make their money, and then afterwards come out with the positive test news. That's pretty disturbing stuff, okay? And again, this is all according to this article on boxingscene.com. I know there are going to be some people who have conspiracy theories about this, and they're going to say, well, look, Deontay Wilder did not want Dillian Whyte to have a shot at his belt. We all know that to be a fact. Al Heyman wants to freeze all the non-PBC heavyweights out of the equation for the most part. Certainly the Matchroom heavyweights, he wants to freeze them out. So there are going to be some who are entertaining the theory that there's some kind of foul play going on here because it's a little too convenient for Dillian Whyte to be testing positive when he's tested negative for all his previous WBC sanctioned bouts, been clean for all of them. But this one that makes him mandatory for Wilder, all of a sudden he's positive. So I know some people are going to say that, but what is the likelihood that Al Heyman has got people in UKAD? I mean, I guess it's possible, but wouldn't you think it's unlikely given that UKAD is a British organization? Wouldn't you think that Eddie Hearn is much closer to UKAD because he works with them on a regular basis for all his shows? I know Al Heyman has just set up shop in the UK and he's supposed to be putting on PBC shows, but he's only put on one so far. How much clout could Al Heyman really have in the UK? And I'm just putting the facts out there, people. Yeah. How much clout could Al Heyman really have in the UK to be doing some dodgy dealings with UKAD and setting Dillian Whyte up in that fashion? Or perhaps it wasn't that. Some people are going to speculate maybe somebody slipped something into Dillian Whyte's food or drink, or, there's going to be all kind of conspiracy theories coming out about it because of the fact that Dillian Whyte has been clean for the past few years in the WBC clean boxing program. All right. It's also possible, people, that Dillian Whyte has just taken something. Maybe he knew about it. Maybe he didn't know about it. I mean, we saw Jarrell Miller, for example, coming out pointing fingers at everybody for being dirty and then testing positive himself. Dillian Whyte pointed fingers at Jarrell Miller. He's been pointing fingers at Anthony Joshua, saying that Anthony Joshua's got a TUE, a therapeutic usage exemption for testosterone or whatever. And now after pointing fingers at everybody, he goes and tests positive. So we've seen this kind of behavior before. To be fair, the Miller situation is a little different because Miller had never been on the clean boxing program before. To my knowledge, he'd never been VADA tested before. Dillian Whyte has been VADA tested previously on numerous occasions. All right. But, and of course, Dillian Whyte and Jarrell Miller both have tested positive for banned substances in the past. So who knows what's going on here? It could just be a case that Dillian Whyte maybe has found a way of circumventing the drug testing protocol of VADA and, so on and so forth. Maybe he ate some tainted beef like Canelo. Or maybe he knowingly took something. Maybe PEDs are so rife in this sport that even the guys on the clean boxing program know ways to circumvent it. And these ways are usually so watertight that they don't get caught most of the time. Who knows what's going on? We'll find out a lot more in due course, and we'll see if the B sample comes back positive. And as this pertains to Dillian Whyte's shot against Deontay Wilder, which at this point looks highly unlikely, and what kind of ban is he going to serve? We do have to acknowledge the fact that Deontay Wilder fought Luis Ortiz after Ortiz had tested positive a couple of times. They were originally supposed to fight in, I believe, late 2017, if memory serves me correct. Ortiz tested positive. A few months later, Wilder fought him anyway. And this is a guy who tested positive several times for banned substances. Wilder fought him anyway. But in that instance, Ortiz was a Al Haymon fighter as well, a PBC guy. Dillian Whyte not being a PBC fighter, I think it's pretty much completely out of the question for Deontay Wilder to be fighting Dillian Whyte. He has obviously been avoiding Dillian Whyte very, very provably for whatever reason for several years now. And now that Whyte has tested positive, he has got an absolute perfect excuse to continue to not fight Dillian Whyte. So at this point, I know hindsight is 2020, but at this point, Dillian Whyte must be wishing he'd taken the Anthony Joshua rematch, because this incident right here could be devastating for Dillian Whyte's career, not only in terms of not getting his WBC title shot, but also his reputation with the British public. Because testing positive like this, Dillian Whyte's fight against Oscar Rivas had disappointing ticket sales to begin with. So even though he's got a certain amount of support in the UK, it's not that strong. He only sold about 12 or 13,000 tickets for that fight. For his fights against Chisora and Parker, it was a sellout at the O2, like 18,000, 19,000 tickets, whatever it was. For this fight, only 12,000. I suspect the pay-per-view numbers were down significantly as well for the Rivas fight as compared to the previous fights. So this right here potentially could be the end of Dillian Whyte as a pay-per-view fighter. It could be the end of Dillian Whyte's big paydays. That's how serious this is for him and his career. And if that turns out to be the case, then of course, in hindsight, he's going to wish that he'd taken that Anthony Joshua opportunity. So we'll have to wait and see how this situation unfolds and develops. But as I said, right now, what we know is that an A sample, according to this article on Boxing Scene anyway, an A sample was taken and has come back positive. They're going to wait for the B sample. The adjudication process could take anywhere from 48 hours to a year or more. I don't know why it takes so long. with UCAD because we saw the Tyson Fury situation drag out for ages too. Don't know what that's all about. But this is what we're aware of at the moment. And again, according to this article, Team Whyte and Eddie Hearn supposedly knew about the positive test prior to the Rivas show. Pretty disturbing stuff. Let me know what you guys feel in the comment section below. And if you've got any more information on this, then please enlighten us by leaving links in the comment section. All right? It's Hatman, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.